And we are live. Sean Taylor,
Yeah,
we're live. How'd you feel?
feeling good, man.
Yeah,
Been busy. Just did a workout as well before I came out here, so feeling good, all healthy
yeah,
and stuff. So yeah,
yeah. A little backstory to that. So me and Sean work in the same workplace. We don't do this for a living, as we're not that professional, but we do work in the same workplace. And there's this thing that's going on with all the social isolation, all the self isolation, and the social distancing in work. They're doing this thing called pass the baton, where essentially someone does something exercise wise. They go for a walk, they go for a run, and then they pass the baton to somebody else. I got the baton passed to me, done a little bit of a workout at home, and then passed the baton to Sean. So I'm looking forward to seeing what your workout was, Sean.
it
Can I
was
get a
very
little
kind of you
preview?
to pass the baton to me, Rob. I really
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Can I get a little preview of what the workout was?
Yeah. So do you remember the one I sent you? I had it on my notes on my phone. So it was like a
Yes.
bit of core workout, and then I have two 5 kg dumbbells that I use as well. So some press ups, bicep curls, shoulder presses.
Did you take my suggestions?
No,
Ah, come on, Sean.
no.
Come on, Seon.
You're trying to kill me. You're
Don't be
trying to hurt
skipping
me.
leg day. Don't be skipping leg
Yeah,
day.
you're trying to
Yeah.
hurt me like dearly.
Yeah, I was. Anyways, let's get into some MMA chats. So it is the 21st of April 2020. And apparently, Sean, we have a UFC card coming up in 2 weeks on the 9th of May, as we have in the chat, or in the title of the chat. So I want to talk about that. And we got a couple of questions. Basically, the idea was, will this card happen? Because we thought a card was going to happen last weekend. It didn't. So people are asking, do we think this card on May 9th is going to actually happen? I'll throw it to you first.
No.
No? You don't think it's going to happen?
No. I
Okay.
don't think it should happen for a
Why not?
start. Pretty much the same reasons as last time. I don't see what's changed between the last one that he wanted to do, that Dana wanted to do on Fight Island, and this one.
Florida have opened their doors. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. What they've just said that they're okay with events, is it?
They've made sporting events and I think sporting
Oh,
athletes, people who can work, whatever the word is, I can't remember. Necessary workers,
yeah.
essential workers.
That's not great, is it?
No,
Given the state America's in at the minute with the virus, so
that's very true. So you don't think it's going to happen? I'm
no.
I'm an optimist. I think it's going to happen, John. And the reason why is it seems like some states are doing pretty well in terms of containing the virus, and it seems like a few more athletic commissions are more open to these events. Not just Florida. It seems like maybe there's some other ones that might jump on board and help them out. Now, we spoke about this when they were going to do the whole Fight Island thing, and I said that I would rather them get into a commission. So do it in Vegas, do it in their little facility that they have, and at least have some kind of regulation there and have some kind of process instead of just like flying people over to an island with probably very little process. So I think if these commissions get on board, I think it might happen.
Hmm.
Mm. Thought you froze there. But let's jump into some other questions that I have here. So I put up this thread yesterday and one this morning to ask for the questions. And to make this chat better, it's always better if you put some questions in the live chat, because that's how you make this. That's how this thing works. I always say, if this chat isn't good, it's because of your bad questions.
Just frozen, Rob. Me, are you there? Is it? Was it
No,
me?
I think you
Oh,
froze.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was still rambling on, Sean. It's
Okay.
all good. So the card is May 9th card one of the best UFC cards in history from top to bottom?
No.
No, I agree. I
Amanda's
agree.
off it as well, actually, now with that.
Yeah, she said that she doesn't want to fight because of coronavirus, right?
Yeah, and she wants a
Yeah,
full camp as well, which is totally reasonable.
yeah, it's fair enough. But let me pull up the card and we'll go through it. Now, it's a really good card. Now, I titled it Super Card because that's what people are talking about, or people are labeling it. And I guess you could make that claim. If the third title fight was on it, I think you could make that claim. Right now, how it stands, and some of these fights are actually unconfirmed rumours, so we can't say they're going to happen. And I guess the card is an unconfirmed rumour right now. But you have Tony
Hmm.
Ferguson, Justin Gaethje on the top of the card. You have Henry Cejudo versus Dominic Cruz. Jose Aldo is out, Dominic Cruz is in. Dominic Cruz hasn't fought in a long time, but he's a legend in the weight class, and we can discuss that. Francis Ngannou, Rosenstruck, Jairzinho Rosenstruck, Jeremy Stevens, Calvin Kattar, and Fabricio Verdun versus Alexei Olenek, but that's currently down as a prelim. But I guess if they're going to do a main card of 5 fights, that'll probably be the one. It's a solid card.
Is Pettis and Cerrone on it? There was talk of that fight as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's another rumoured fight, yeah.
That'd be a fun fight as well. I mean, they're all fun fights, really. But it's not a super card that's one of the greatest of all time, so...
Yeah. Do you know what I think? I think people are so starved for MMA and sports in general now. They look at this and they're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. They're just so hungry for anything. So
yeah. Papa Psycho said smash the thumbs up. Thank you. And I didn't mention that at the start of the chat. If you can hit the like button, it does really help us out. No joke, it does. But Thomas William Riley, is it on or more wind being smoke up our hole?
I love how you phrased that.
I know, yeah. There's so many rumors right now. Like I've seen different lineups of the card, and some lineups doesn't even have Tony Ferguson versus Justin Gaethje on it. And we're 2 weeks away. And one thing I did read, I sent this on to you, Sean, on The Athletic. Did you read it?
Oh,
the
yes,
interview with it. Yeah, it was very good. Yeah,
fantastic read. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah. So what I took from it was. The epidemiologist, and I'll get their name up now in a second, but essentially what they said is if they want to do it right, according to, obviously you can't make it 100% safe in the current climate, but if you want to make it as safe as possible, realistically they should be starting the process of quarantine fighters right now. They got to do it right now because what the epidemiologist said was, Zachary Binney is his name. He said that the way it should work is they should get the fighters, fly them into the facility, wherever it is, probably Vegas, say, quarantine them for a week by themselves, not with any other fighters, so by themselves, throw them into a room. That sounds weird, but you know what I mean? Throw them into a room and leave them there. Just give them their food. Test them after that week. If they're all clear, leave them for one more week, test them again, and then if they're all clear, then bring them to the venue, and all the fighters are there, and we can confirm that they're all... safe, they're all coronavirus free. But if they're going to do this whole thing where they have the fight island, or if they have like multiple fights, that's going to have to be done for every single fighter that comes in and out. So it's a serious process, and if they want to do that right now, they got to start now because we're less than 2 weeks away.
And then you also have to have fighters afterwards, after the fight, self-isolate for 2 weeks.
Yeah,
potentially as well.
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Now that's if they want to do it according to this guy's, he is an epidemiologist anyway, but like according to his recommendations now, they probably won't go that far. They probably will take the limited approach. But if they want to do it that way, it's gonna have to happen now. And I haven't seen any news that they've really made any moves in terms of safety.
Yeah,
just yet.
There's been a couple of good articles written about how the UFC have been pretty quiet on the testing and how they're looking after fighters who may potentially be fighting. I mean, they haven't said anything really about what they're doing to ensure the safety of fighters. It's been very waffly talk from Dana about we're doing the utmost and they have access to the best care. And I mean, what is that best care? What does that look like? We haven't been told. I don't even think, from judging from what Ariel has said in a couple of tweets, the fighters haven't been told the whole pile either. So
yeah. This is a great question by John C. Sorry. Do you think if they push the May 9th card to the end of May or the beginning of June, is Tony just going to keep making weight every 2 weeks? Can't be a good idea for his body. He might do. He's crazy. I did see this though. Gregor Gillespie said that every time he fights, 2 weeks out from the fight, he'll do a test cut. Like he'll get down to weight. So he says it's pretty normal for him, and he says it's pretty normal for a lot of fighters. They'll take that approach. So maybe Tony does that anyway. But I
was listening to DC and Ariel's thing today or yesterday, I can't remember. And DC said he used to do something similar. So when he started when he first moved down to 205, he would get down to, so he'd get down pretty low anyway because he knew he'd be tight on the weight. So he'd get down to like 210, and then the next, say, a couple of weeks later, he'd get down to 208, and then he'd get down to 206. He wouldn't get down to 205, but he knew that by getting down to 206 and 208 and the likes, he could get down to the weight. So
yeah, Yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of fighters do. But do I think he's gonna do it every time if this card just keeps getting pushed? I hope not, because that definitely can't be good. One
We just
time
see
is probably
Tony
fine.
Ferguson making 155 for the rest of the year
Yeah, I
without
seen
having
McGregor.
fought.
I seen McGregor was talking shit about it as well, wasn't he? I
What did
didn't
he
listen
say?
to what he said.
I didn't
I
see
don't
that.
know. He was just talking shit. But as expected. JLo Street again asked, how do you think Gaethje versus Tony will play out now that they both got 2 more weeks to prepare? That's a good point. That's good for Gaethje, I think, more so than Tony. I think Tony was ready, although it does give him more time to prepare for someone like Gaethje who has a very distinct style and very distinctly different from Habib. It's completely different. Even though they both have wrestling backgrounds, Gaethje does not use his wrestling, which is kind of crazy, you know. He has that old Chuck Liddell style, the wrestling in reverse. But yeah,
It's insanity that he doesn't use it and has
yeah,
never used it really.
yeah. Like I wonder what his actual top game is like, because there's one thing having wrestling, and then there's another thing actually being good on top.
Yeah.
Because the old approach of sitting in a guy's guard and trying to land ground and pound doesn't work. So I assume he has fairly decent grappling. I just haven't seen a whole lot of it, and I don't think anybody has. So maybe his top game just isn't that good. So his approach is, I'm going to stand and bang because I'm actually better there, you know.
I'm
But
not entirely sure how much 2 weeks extra makes to either of them. Just given the conditions we're in at the minute. So
yeah. We'll get into that fight a bit more, but Nurlan Razmaradov called me a bitch because I skipped his question, Sean. Look at this shit. I was going to get to it next. Now I'm not. No, I will, because I want to talk about it. Do you think Justin imposing his strength would be too much for Tony? I don't necessarily believe so. Tony won the Ultimate Fighter at 170, and I know that probably doesn't tell you a whole lot, because a lot of fighters who win the Ultimate Fighter will do it a weight class above, and they'll be fighting guys who are fighting a weight class above, because you have to make weight like 3 times if you're gonna win it, like 3 times in a month, which isn't great. Although it seems like Tony Ferguson enjoys it. So I don't think the strength advantage for Gaethje is going to be that much. Like I never really heard of Gaethje really having a strength advantage over guys at 155. That's not really a narrative I've heard.
same, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't necessarily think so. I do think the pressure could be something. Like Tony Ferguson is a pressure fighter as well, but he hasn't really dealt with someone like Gaethje. I don't think like Gaethje, Tony, Gaethje, Habib, they're all extremely unique fighters. So like
Yes.
when a fight is happening, it's so easy to say no. Like Tony Ferguson hasn't seen a Habib Nurmagomedov because he's so special, and the same applies to Justin Gaethje. So I don't think the strength is going to be a factor, but maybe the pace and that style, that grueling style. Do you think, of course, the whole 2 extra weeks will help game plan and that, but do you think it'll help Gaethje condition himself for these 5 rounds?
No, I'm not sure how much of a difference the 2 weeks will make to that. I think he was probably in decent shape anyway. But I don't know. I'm not the most conditioned person in the world, so who am I to say what difference 2 weeks makes at that elite level? It is literally the smallest things make the difference, so it could do.
Yeah, I thought it was great though when Gaethje done that interview and he said that he had a couple of weeks or something like that. And he had like 4 rounds in the tank, and he
Oh
was
yeah,
like, yeah, and he was just so honest about it.
yeah,
I thought that was pretty good. Although a lot of people thought that was him already making
yeah.
excuses. I didn't think so. Let me get some of these questions up on the community tab as well.
Jacqueline Daisy Face in the chat. Mup from Wexford.
Oh, Wexford.
Yeah.
Jumping off 250 for a second. I'm going to call it 250 because Tapology are calling it 250. But jumping off that for a second, does Jorge Masvidal, this is from Bull Roar MMA podcast, does Jorge Masvidal still have the draw he had before the UFC shut down? And which fighter do you want to see back in the octagon the most? So the first one, do you think Jorge Masvidal has lost some of the draw that he had before the UFC shut down?
No, I don't.
Mm.
I think some fighters have definitely increased their notoriety as much as that. Not necessarily maybe popularity and stuff. I mean, Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje's definitely coming out of this with a lot more notoriety than he had probably beforehand. I don't think Masvidal has lost his draw. I think people still want to see that Usman fight, or even if he fought Conor, he fought Usman again. I think people still want to see those fights.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could make the argument that like MMA in general has lost a bit of draw, as a whole, as in like it hasn't been on for a long time, so maybe people are, casual fans are just forgetting about it. So maybe you could argue that, but I don't think him in particular has lost anything. And I think once everything comes back, it'll just be back to the way it was, hopefully. Although I think a lot of things are going to change in the UFC, or at least in MMA in general, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that as well. But yeah, let me look at some more of these questions in the chat. Jacqueline Daisy Face, how successful would Tony, Habib, Justin and Conor all be on a 165 division? I'll take this one first. I think Conor 155 is actually a perfect weight for Conor. I think he was always a really small 170 when he fought there. I don't think 165 would actually suit him that well. Do I think he'd be good there? Probably. But I think 155 is perfect. Same thing with Justin. I think Justin's fine at 155. I think Habib could probably compete very well at 165. I think that's a good weight for him. And then Tony, probably similar, but again, he seems fine at 155. I think they all could be competitive there. Like they're top lightweights, so I think they can be competitive there. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. And I think how successful they would be in the division also depends on if all four of them are in the division. I think you just see essentially a 155 division, except it's at 165. If you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think I think the 10 pounds. I think the 10 pounds probably. Sorry, there's someone shouting in my house here. I'm wondering what's going on.
No, you're alright. The 10 pounds.
The 10 pounds. I think it benefits Khabib the most probably because I think out of those four, I think he's the one who struggles at the weight the most.
Yeah. I agree. He clearly has had trouble making weight before. Yeah, so yeah.
I was watching I think it was an Anatomy of a Fighter on YouTube, or someone, they had access to AKA pretty recently, and they showed a couple of clips of Khabib rolling with DC, and he doesn't look outrageously outsized against DC.
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah. As in, if you put Conor in rolling with DC, you could see him in like ridiculously outsized, but it doesn't look like that with Khabib. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Keep asking questions in the chat. Again, you are what make this show good. If it's bad, I'm blaming you. But I have some more questions in the community tab, and also like the video because it actually really helps us out. And it's free, as somebody said in the chat. James Maudsley in the community tab asked, if Tony beats Justin in the same fashion he beats everyone, do you think it increases his claim on being the lightweight champion over Habib? I understand Habib is the champion, but you can obviously make a claim for either of them.
I don't think you can, because Khabib has a belt, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Well, if he wins, the thing is,
it's an interim belt.
Yeah, so if he wins an interim belt, then it's a disputed championship, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he beats him in the bloody fashion that, like, there's always that picture that does the rounds on Twitter of Tony's opponents and what a bloody mess they leave the cage in. So
it looks like a horror movie. Like,
yeah, if Gaethje leaves the octagon looking like that, then it doesn't really enhance Ferguson's claim, I don't think, because it will just give us more reason to want to see the Khabib fight, I think, if we need even that.
Yeah, I get what you mean. It's a weird one because I don't think, like, in MMA, they don't really treat interim belts like they do in boxing. It's almost an entirely different thing. Like in boxing, it seems like it's, even though it's still not the real title, as you said, it's like a contested belt.
Yeah.
But in MMA, it's just more so like a token, so you get a title shot next. And even then, it doesn't always happen. So, like, I think even if he wins the interim belt, which I think he's deserving of getting a shot anyway, because accepting a fight with Justin Gaethje and, the run that he's been on, and the fact that the belt was taken from him before, like, I didn't really agree with that in the first place. Remember when he was supposed to fight Habib, he tripped over the wire, he was the interim champion at the time, and then they ended up stripping Ferguson and McGregor. But, like, Ferguson, that was just so unlucky by Ferguson, and it wasn't like he's been out for a long time. So I think that he actually should have kept his interim belt at the time. They should have stripped McGregor and just gave Habib the actual title. But anyway, I digress. I don't think you can claim that he's the champion over Habib. Is what I wanted to get to. Anyway.
I remember laughing one time. I was watching. It was an interim title holder and a title holder fighting, and I can't remember who it was. But Bruce Buffer introduced the full title holder as the undisputed champion, and I remember thinking he is anything but the undisputed champion if you're actually given interim titles any sort of credit. Is that not the whole point, that the title is now disputed?
Yeah, exactly. They treat it a completely different way.
Yeah.
It's a token.
We've said this before, but the interim titles, they're useful until the UFC decide that they're not. Like, so.
Yeah, it's a very strange thing, but I think Habib is still champion. Yeah. I need to go back up on top of this chat. Marco Till,
lightweight out there according to Nurlan Ramzanov.
I think Gillespie and T-Bell would have a few questions for you. That guy was ginormous. Marco Till, talking about sports books last week, have you read The Lost Soul of Eamon McGee? It's pretty amazing.
I actually haven't, but it's come up on a lot of, the Amazon give you those recommendations we think you'd like and stuff. It's come up on a lot of those for me, so I know roughly what the story is, and I know that Eamon McGee has a pretty mad story, so I'll definitely give it a look.
Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about him. Like, what's the story?
He's a boxer. I can't remember where he's from. He could be from Dublin. He's from Ireland, and he's been to jail and stuff like this. He just has this mad story, but a lot of it, he was a boxer as well, and he just has this mad story. I think. I remember when the book came out that a lot of the Belfast boxers were tweeting about the book, saying what a story it was and how inspiration and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's interesting. Very good.
Must check that out. Jacqueline Daisyface, I still want to see the Usman matchup, but I think Jorge is a twat. The money and BMF propaganda got to him. Do you know what? I actually have seen that narrative a little bit, that a lot of people have turned on Jorge Masvidal after the whole BMF thing. I think he's still very, very popular, but I guess this probably happens to everybody, unless you're someone like Stephen Thompson, who's just like the nicest guy ever. Once you start getting really popular, it's like you almost automatically become more polarizing, and I think that's what happened with Masvidal. So I don't agree with that, but I have seen that. Have you seen it?
I actually haven't seen that. I'm surprised at that, because I think even sort of in the build up to the BMF fight, and while Jorge's been on this sort of run that he's been on, I've been loving it. I think he's been amazing in his press conferences, the 3-piece and the soda and stuff like that. I think he's been amazing.
Yeah,
I think it is exactly what you say. It's just that, like, he's sort of got that success now, and people love people when they're losing. And then as soon as you get to the top or whatever, people start to turn on you and they think you've changed and stuff. But yeah, no, I'm a big fan of Jorge. I think he's very good.
Yeah. Aidan asked, is Charles Oliveira the Brazilian James Vick? Whilst he's on a decent win streak and sits at 8th in the rankings, all of his wins bar Kevin Lee fights are against low level lightweights. Then he says, similar situation to what James Vick found himself in after losing to Gaethje, Felder, Hooker and Price. I mean, I hope not. I really hope not, because he's been incredibly exciting lately, Oliveira. And I understand what you mean by the James Vick comparison. I can see what you mean. It's clear. And the fact that we have seen Oliveira have a lot of problems in the past, I just hope that he's past that. I hope that he's the weight cut is behind him, which seemed to cause him a lot of problems, especially because he kept getting hurt to the body. Like, he just got hurt to the body. Literally every time he was landed onto the body at featherweight, he got hurt. And it seems like at lightweight, that's been improved. It seems like his performances have just got better anyway. So I hope that doesn't turn out to be the case, but I can see the comparison. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, he's actually in a very good run, and his record's kind of insane because he has the most submission wins in UFC history as well, doesn't he?
I think he does. Yeah, if not, he's very, very close.
I think he overtook the record maybe in his last fight, but
overtook Heist or something.
James Vick was a guy who there was sort of a bit of hope for again. I think Charles Oliveira is a bit further on in his career, so I think he might be past that. But yeah, I hope not as well, because he's in a good run. I think there's some fun fights out there for him.
Yeah, I do like him. Jacqueline Daisy Face, they actually offered Justin Gaethje a fight with Charles Oliveira before he got tapped for his title fight. Absolute guns in matchmaking.
You've said that
That's
before, is that?
that's very true. If that is true, Charles Oliveira against Justin Gaethje, I think that was true actually, as far as I remember. Yeah, that's not great matchmaking, to be honest. Even though I like both guys, it's Justin Gaethje's at a different level right now.
That's lazy. That's very lazy matchmaking.
Yeah, I think so too. Norlan, I'm going to answer your question, even though you insulted me a minute ago. Do you think Charles Oliveira and Gregor Gillespie are Habib's hardest fights? I was all over the Gregor Gillespie train, and then he got absolutely sparked by Kevin Lee. I don't think that means that he's not going to recover from that. I think he probably will. But I do think he has an interesting style to compete with Habib. I wonder how he would match up with him, because most likely it will be a wrestling match. So that's a good fight. Charles Oliveira, I don't think so. I think he has an amazing ground game, and we haven't really seen Habib fight someone like that. You know, Tony's probably going to be the closest to it if that fight ever happens. But I just think that Habib's positioning on top would just completely smother Oliveira, and he wouldn't be able to get anything off his back, personally.
I agree. Yeah, I don't. Sorry,
am I in a delay?
I don't think you were on a bit. Sorry, I was looking at you on the screen and I got confused.
Yeah.
I don't think Charles Oliveira troubles Khabib that much. Gregor's a bit like that Khabib, the Kevin Lee one, isn't it? Everyone thought Kevin Lee had the style that might be Khabib, but it's probably a fight we're not going to see anytime soon. I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's unlikely that we see Gregor Gillespie and Khabib fight anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be close anyway, but I do like the fights. Let me find some more questions here. Story boys, Derek Moore. What's the story? How are you? How you been getting on? How's things? I did tell you this, Sean, that walking down the street and got recognised in Dublin.
Yes.
Third time. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
First time
famous.
was
well, you're famous now anyway.
Famous, yeah. It just embarrassed my girlfriend as well. I was just like,
no, was she with you?
She was, yeah.
What did she say?
She just went all red and she was like, oh my god. It was actually so funny. But if you're on the chat, let me know. And thanks for saying hello. Although he was across the road, just shouted MMA movement at me, and I was like, what's up? Let's continue and keep social distancing. But yeah, John C., do you think it might be more beneficial for the UFC to take this time to retool the rankings and tie the matchmaking to those rankings instead of Dana making a fight island? Sean, I'm going to let you answer that question. I'm going to run. I have like a light beaming onto my face just when I close the blinds there, right? Cool. So filler time.
Yeah, I think now, like, if you were looking at the UFC like a normal business, I think now would be a perfect time to sort of take stock and look at processes, if you want to call them that might not be that efficient. The rankings are pretty inefficient. They don't do what they're supposed to do. So I think now would, in a normal business, be a pretty good time to look at stuff like that. But I think we've seen from Dana so far that he's not going to do anything like that. So no, I don't expect him to do that anytime soon. Because the thing with the rankings now is, if they change them now, they're essentially admitting that they were wrong for this length of time.
Yeah. I agree. I don't think they will. I think it could be a good idea. I mean, there is a lot of things they could probably do, and this is something I was actually talking to you about earlier. Like, are they going to put some kind of contingencies in for something like this in the future if it happens? And this could be a time where they could be working on stuff like that. Although they do have a lot of good infrastructure anyway to deal with it. But in terms of like the rankings and stuff, like, I'm all for rankings and I'm all for them affecting matchmaking in a sense, but I also do believe that this sport is a star-driven sport, and I do believe that you have to make some considerations outside of somebody's rankings in terms of what matchups you make, because I think we've seen a lot of fights where maybe they didn't necessarily match up in terms of how they were ranked, but they were still amazing fights and they still made sense in some way. So I think you can go on rankings to an extent, but not completely.
Yeah, I agree. Rankings aren't the be all and end all, but they need to have some credibility. I think the UFC rankings are kind of past that point of having any sort of credibility.
Yeah. Dewey Cooper, horrible jersey there, Sean. What's that? We are the SRFC.
Shamrock Rovers.
Rovers. Unbelievable. It is a nice jersey though.
It is
Nice
a nice
colour.
jersey.
Yeah.
It's bright it's bright on me, it's bright outside,
Yeah.
Rovers aren't going to win the league this year because the league's going to be cancelled. So.
Poor Liverpool on that.
Hopefully that gets cancelled and Liverpool don't get the league. That'd be doubly great.
They're terrible. I'll be pissed off. Like, I used to be a huge football fan and I kind of went away from it. But when I was a football fan, I was a Leeds fan. So if they just cancel the league, it's not a great fucking situation for Leeds either. So unbelievable stuff. Jan van der Bos, thoughts on Nunez pulling out? Does she really need a full camp for Spencer? No disrespect. I don't like. She said that she wanted a full camp. Fair enough. She also cited COVID-19 concerns. So yeah, like I think she's a champion. She has a lot to lose, and I don't think that Spencer is the most dangerous opponent, but she is still dangerous. She can win the fight. So I understand where Nunez is coming from. Like, she has a lot more to lose than a lot of other fighters right now, especially because of her streak.
I think Amanda Nunez in this case and Justin Gaethje are two good examples of why. I think Justin Gaethje has more to gain than he has to lose from taking the Ferguson fight. Because if he loses, he's going to go back to doing what Justin Gaethje does and just being in fun fights, which is what he always does. And he can still work his way back up for a shot. If Amanda loses, she loses a lot more than just a belt, as in money, all that stuff. So I think, I think well done to Amanda for being one of the fighters actually using their brains at the minute. Bryce Cooper, yes. I'm looking at you.
Yeah. Jacqueline Daisy
Bryce
face.
Mitchell, even not Bryce Cooper. Sorry. Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah,
do you remember
Bryce
what he was
Mitchell.
fighting? He was saying he was going to fight the coronavirus himself. Fucking moron.
Yeah, well, he's not the most smart guy. Jacqueline Daisy face. Gillespie is good, but Kev proved he's not really ready yet. Yeah, like, I mean, a head kick is a head kick, and he got caught. But I wonder, there's always that what if, what if he just made a slight adjustment? Would that have actually happened? Would he have won the fight? But yeah, that was devastating. Dewey Cooper.
Sal in the chat there, sorry Rob, says the Nevada governor seems to be prepared to allow the reopening of casinos in Las Vegas. That seems like you're asking for a surge of viruses. People go into them casinos to play poker and blackjack and don't leave for 2 days.
Yeah. Petri dish.
Yeah.
Madness.
That ain't great.
No, it's not great. I didn't what state was it? Florida? They opened up beaches again or something.
Did they? I haven't actually read too much about Florida.
Yeah, so. I think they did. Yeah. Madness. Dewey Cooper. Why do people blame Adesanya for the Romero fight? It was up to Yoel to win the fight, and he was never going to do that striking at distance with Adesanya. Israel did enough to win. Yoel didn't. I agree with that. I think we spoke about this before. The way that both the guys fight at times, it could have been a clash like that. It could have been boring because Yoel Romero doesn't like to engage too much, unless he has a guy hurt, and Adesanya does like the counter strike, so that could have happened. And yeah, like, I mean, like, Yoel kind of set the pace at the beginning, didn't he?
Yeah.
So I completely agree with that. I don't think Adesanya deserves a lot of blame. Like, you can blame both guys, but I think Yoel definitely deserves a bulk of that blame for that fight.
Yeah, I don't think you can criticize a fighter for getting a win ever. If fighters going with game plans, I still am surprised that Yoel didn't push it more towards the end. As in, he has so much to gain by pushing it, and even if he gets knocked out, whatever. The thing with Adesanya getting the stick is Adesanya kind of opens himself up to that stick just because of how the brash sort of character is, and I like it. Some people don't, so the once they get the first chance, they're going to criticize him.
Yeah, I don't think he deserves too much blame for that one, to be honest. It wasn't a great fight, but whatever. It was a terrible fight, to be fair. Jan van der Bos, how many UFC events will happen in May, June, July, do you think? Well, Sean, you don't think the event's going to happen in May anyway. So, are you going to say 0 for May?
Yeah, I'll say 0. I'll say 0 for May. I'll give you my predictions for May, June, July then. 0 for May. I don't know. I think for the 3 months there, May, June, July, I think we'll see under 3.5 events if I was a betting man, Rob.
Which you
That
are.
would be my line. I would say
Very
under
nice.
3.5 events. So.
Yeah. I'm gonna say 2 in May,
Oh.
and then I think because if they did a
And then
one
the
nine, no,
floodgates will
no,
open.
no, I'm gonna say 1 in May, and then it'll take a while for them to get like all the facilities set up for the rest of the events, because it seems like they're gonna start pumping them out if they can afterwards. But I think it's gonna take some time, because it seems like the one in May, the one they're saying, the May 9th one, won't be in the Apex. It seems like it's going to be somewhere else. Whereas it seems like the Apex might be opened up, according to Dana White, from next month. So once that comes back, I'm going to say in June, we'll have like 3 events.
So a semi-regular schedule, essentially.
Yeah, I think so. And then probably double that the following month. Then hopefully we're out of this fucking situation then afterwards.
Yeah. Do you know what's funny as well? How much giving out have I done about the UFC having too many fighters, or sorry, too many cards? And now they're going to have this schedule backlog where they're going to jam every fighter under the sun into fights. Probably
Yeah.
every 3 days they're going to do cards.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, we're like really, really dying for some fights right now, but once they come back, we're gonna be like, oh my god, slow it down, Dane. We'll see anyway. Jan
I'd be
van
all
der
for.
Bos.
Sorry, I'd be all for sort of shortened cards, but every 3-4
I
days, if you know what I
I
mean.
agree with that. Yeah, if I'm not sitting down for 6 hours watching a card, if I can be sitting down for 2.5, 3 hours watching a card regularly,
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Do like a main card length card every 3-4 days, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, me too. I'll take that. Yeah. Jan van der Bos. What do you guys, or what do you lads, drink in the pub? Sean, go for it.
I drink pints of cider. So I'm a celiac, so I can't drink wheat, so I can't drink beer and cool stuff like that. So I drink cider, and then vodka if I was in the spirits.
Yeah.
Sometimes rum. Rum's alright.
Yeah. If it's gonna be a spirit, it'll be all just whiskey. Don't really drink anything else but whiskey.
Rob's a classy guy.
Yeah. Have you whiskey there? Have some there. And in terms of like beer, I'm a bit of a fucking snob. I love a Guinness. So like, it's so traditional. It's such an Irish thing to say, but I do love a Guinness. Go for that. And then if I go to like a craft beer place, I like Brewdog stuff and all that. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah. Nonce.
Did you ever hear, there's an Irish craft beer company called there's a few. There's one called Kinnegar, and they do a nice beer. It's called Scraggy Bay. That's lovely.
That doesn't sound like something that I want.
No, it doesn't.
That sounds like something nasty going on downstairs. Is what that sounds like.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. But it is good, Sean. It is good. Brian Cintron asked, Jones versus Israel, your thoughts? So, do you want to see it? Who would win if they fought?
Yeah, I want to see it. I don't want to see it anytime relatively soon. But I definitely think it's a fight that can be built up into a big fight in the future. I mean, if Izzy goes on a bit of a tear now at 185 and defends his title 3 or 4 times, and Jones is still around, then I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be interested in that fight coming in. Not now. Definitely not now.
No, not now. But yeah, I'd like to see it in the future. John Jones has been an absolute dick lately as well. I gotta say it. Holy fucking Jesus Christ. Did you see this stuff with Anthony Smith?
No.
So Anthony Smith, of course, his house got broken into. He had that scrap with that guy, the crazy dude. And did you see the video, actually, of that crazy guy?
Yes, it was mentioned.
Holy fuck. Anyways.
I'd have been under the bed hiding.
Yeah, so John Jones tweeted to him. The first tweet was this passive-aggressive tweet where he said, I'm glad you're okay, but that guy would have been dead if it was me. Something like that, you know? Like, shut up, John. The next one, though, was like something along the lines of buy a gun or buy pepper spray for your family, because if it was a crazier guy, someone like me, there would have been big trouble. Something like that. You know, like, as in, like, you better protect your family a bit better. And then he deleted the tweet because he's John Jones.
What do you reckon John was doing at the time he tweeted these?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Something white. Yeah, exactly. Fuck me, man. John
Fuck's
Jones
sake.
is very unlikable. Like I've kind of defended John Jones over the years, but like he's so fucking unlikable. Great fighter, very unlikable.
Yeah, I think we've kind of said this before, and Darren Till actually tweeted it. I was scrolling through his tweets earlier, and he said, "I much prefer dickhead John Jones when he was unapologetically a dickhead. He
Yeah,
much preferred that John to God worshipping John Jones who just apologizes for everything but learns from nothing."
yeah,
So I
yeah.
kind of I agree with him to a sense. I mean I don't like what he's saying there and stuff,
Oh well,
but
if he's
I'd rather
yeah,
if he is just himself.
yeah. If you are a dick, be a dick.
Yeah,
Essentially, is what I'm
own it
gonna say.
essentially.
Yeah,
Um,
own it.
this God worship and stuff is fake as fuck from him, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're not a man of God. Did you ever see that
I'm not
fucking
personally, but anyway.
yeah, the Magdalene sisters or whatever it's called? Pompous Psycho. I like how our boy Bobby says Oozman. Oh yeah, Oozman.
Use
Dewey
me.
Cooper. Dewey Cooper. Why do people always say Kevin Lee has all the tools to be champ? He's a decent wrestler with a good reach and good back control. His striking is stiff and his cardio is poor and his fight IQ is bad. Yeah, like I think early Kevin Lee, he showed a lot of promise. Like he still shows a lot of promise. And I think like he has that perfect style. He has like good wrestling, good grappling. He kind of does everything quite well. Like he was like when you look at the guys who came up, say like with the Rory McDonalds and stuff like that, the guys who were like complete fighters, Kevin Lee kind of falls into that mold. And I think people just thought that he had all the tools because he was good everywhere. Like he didn't, like he still doesn't really have a gigantic hole in his game. Like it's not there. But he has some deficiencies in certain places, like you pointed out. So I think people just looked at him as this kind of next level, next generation fighter. But so far, just hasn't really seemed to work out, at least at the top of the game.
I think at another time we might well have seen Kevin Lee make a very solid run at a title, if not get a title shot. He's just a little bit unlucky that 155 is as stacked as it is right now.
Yeah,
But I think the
yeah,
same
hundred
can be
percent.
said for a lot of people at 155 right now.
I think I was watching a Luke Thomas podcast or something like that after Kevin Lee lost his last fight, and he still thinks that he could be champ. It's a bold prediction. I'm not sure. I'm
Yeah,
not sure.
I don't see it unless 55 gets like cleared out.
Yeah. Read that pompous psycho comment and tell me we can actually say it on air because I'm not really sure what the hell's going on there.
Is it the one about his mom?
Yeah.
My mom was watching the show and she said that she recently saw young Sean wearing an Azuri jersey on her Insta. It may be time to boot Sean off the island. An Azuri jersey. See, Azuri is a brand that used to make jerseys in Ireland, but
Yeah.
they're also the nickname for the Italians.
Huh.
I'm not sure what he means there. Can you clarify that one, please, Psycho?
Yeah. But
They
yeah,
do.
100% were. You have many Azori jerseys, I'm sure.
I actually don't.
Oh, wow.
No, because they used to make GA jerseys. I would say GA, but people would understand. They used to make GA jerseys, but I didn't. I
Like they
don't.
understand GAA either.
Yeah, they didn't make soccer jerseys, so I don't have any.
Yeah.
So Pompous Psycho, yeah, either me or your mom is weighing, and you're gonna have to pick.
Yeah. Oh, psycho. He's talking about your ma. Wouldn't take that. Um. Anyways, like the video as well. Come on, lads. There's 33 people here, and look, I said 33 like a fucking Irish person. So let's get this up to 33 likes.
They're just gonna
33.
leave it. That's what you have to say.
I know, yeah. No, it's 35 concurrent viewers. Anyways, let's move on. Jacqueline Daisyface. Thanks for all the questions, Jacqueline, because there's some really good ones here. Thoughts on Jones versus top 5 heavyweights, excluding DC. God damn it, DC is not going to get that. Get that back. The dream fight seems to be John Jones versus Francis Ngannou for some reason, doesn't it? But what's your thoughts on Jones versus the top 5 heavyweights? Just start with Stipe first, Sean, because I'll get the top 5 by the rankings now while you're talking.
Please. Jones v Stipe is an amazing fight. I'd love to see that. That's a really interesting one because we've seen DC. I'm going to do some MMA maths here. I've seen DC boxed ahead of Stipe essentially for 3 rounds, and we've also seen Jones absolutely pummel DC.
Yeah.
So I think Stipe and Jones is a hell of a fight.
Sean with a bit of MMA maths. Love it.
Yeah, I know.
It's very hard not to do it though, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's very difficult.
I think that's
The
a hell
thing,
of a fight.
hell of a fight, yeah. Like I think with John Jones, he really does, and I thought this was just like one instance of this, but he really does seem to lose a lot when the guy can compete with him physically, doesn't he?
Mm,
Like when a
yeah.
guy is as physically imposing as he is, he seems to lose a lot,
Mm,
like of his advantages and yeah, essentially, I find. So yeah, I think that's an
yeah.
interesting fight.
I don't think Jones is scared to go up to heavyweight. I'm not scared. Like no fighter is scared. I think he's just wary of how his usual advantages at 205
Yeah,
are limited, more limited at heavyweight.
yeah. I think there's a difference between you being scared and you being calculated.
Yeah,
And
I
I
think
think
that's the
John
word.
Jones is calculated in the sense that he knows that it's a big gamble for him to go there. It's
Yeah,
very he doesn't have a lot of advantages up there essentially.
yeah.
But yeah, Stipe versus John Jones. Let's make some picks on this, Sean.
Huh.
I think Jones is a better overall fighter. Um, oh well, I'm gonna take Jones in that.
Oh,
I am. I'm gonna take Jones in that. I don't know why,
mm.
but I am. I'm gonna take Jones. I'm gonna take Jones by decision. Just out finesses him a little bit.
I probably would. Oh, I don't know. Originally I was thinking I'll take Stipe, but then I was like, I'd probably take Ngannou against Jones, and I'd probably take DC against Jones at heavyweight. And I was like, who do I think Jones actually beats at heavyweight?
Mm.
I don't know. I
Come
think
on,
the
Sean.
steep.
Get off that fence.
Yeah, I think Jones is a better overall fighter. I think he'd have the speed at heavyweight that would be advantageous to him.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd take Jones against Stipe as well. But I'm not picking Jones against DC or Ngannou at heavyweight.
Okay, so DC is out anyway. So you're going with Ngannou over Jones, yeah?
Yeah,
Mollywops him,
yeah.
essentially.
I think he cracks him,
Yeah,
gives him
cracks
some
him.
damn good brain trauma.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I think once you get past them, I think Jones would
Yeah,
look fairly good against the rest of them. Like Curtis Blades, I think
yeah.
it's a
He
good
fairly
fight for
mauls him.
Jones. Yeah, I think Junior Dos Santos at this point is correct. Like Junior Dos Santos is ranked number 4 at heavyweight at this
Yeah,
stage. That's heavyweight for you. Like I
that was my
love
first
Junior.
thought. That was my first
Oof.
thought of the heavyweight top five. I was like, that top
Yeah,
five ain't great.
yeah. You know what though? Jairzinho Rosenstruck could be a handful for John Jones.
Yeah, young.
Could be a handful. That guy has some experience. So yeah, that's where we're going. We're going Jones. I'm going Jones over Stipe. I know it's controversial. I'll pick Ngannou over Jones just for the power, and then he beats the rest of those in the top 5. And then you're kind of
I know we said DC aside, but who
yeah.
would you take in that fight at heavyweight?
I'd still take Jones against DC,
Would you?
even a heavyweight. Yeah, I would. I
I'd
think he
love to
has
see
his
that.
number. I think he has his number, man.
Especially I suppose DC's getting old too, and by the time we'd see that fight,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Sean, here's one for you. Sean, if you were invited on Brendan Schaub's he has fighting podcast, but in quotation marks, would you go on and debate Schaub on the virus, MMA, boxing, his too tight pants, etc.? Don't be nice because he has CTE. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, that man has some damn good CTE. So I
Yeah.
sent you a video. So Daniel Fox, who was in the chat last week, sent me a video after I had a little rant about Brendan Schaub, not a moron he is. Daniel sent me a video of Schaub, and he was on Rogan pretty recently. And so it was a minute and a half long clip of Rogan saying something like, "Oh, it's the best," and Shaw would just be like, "Oh, it's the best of the best," and Rogan would be like,
Oh, I
"It's the
seen
biggest."
that.
I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Rogan
Yeah.
would say in a different sentence, he'd be like, "It's the biggest." Oh, it's the biggest.
It's the biggest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or it's Rogan would say it's wild. Oh, it's so wild. It's the wildest.
It's the wildest.
Yeah. And you're like, this man is a moron. He gets paid bundles of money to talk about this.
Yeah, man. I know.
I'm not getting invited on Brendan Schaub's podcast anytime soon, because he wouldn't be able to talk anyway legibly about the virus because he's a moron. MMA, I can't discredit his opinion on because
He's
he's
fought.
fought in the UFC.
Yeah, let's give him that.
Um,
But he does
probably,
talk some nonsense, though.
yeah.
He
He's a
has
bit
fought yeah. Like,
Sorry, go
I'm
on.
not saying from a technical point of view. I just think like he's the type of guy where he doesn't like research before he talks about stuff. He just doesn't
No.
he doesn't do any research. So like it does come off quite clearly.
He's
You know.
very like, oh, monkey see shiny thing, and like and goes on about it and stuff like that. I think boxing apps, yeah, I think he's a moron when it comes to boxing. His tight pants. I wear skinny jeans, you wear skinny jeans, Rob. So I don't think we can slag him too much on that one.
Yeah, it's true. Not quite as
Um,
skinny though.
no, he
Like,
wears the suit. Do you wear super skinny or just skinny?
just skinny, just like
Yeah, mine are just
like
skinny.
nice tapered, just tapered, so they're
Yeah,
not like, so I don't look like a country artist. You
yeah.
know.
His are, I'd say his are ultra skinny or something because they look like they're bed onto them
Yeah,
sometimes.
I have some room, like I have a decent amount of room in there.
Yeah, you need a bit of
Uh,
wiggle room.
yeah, yes you do. Jacqueline Daisyface, I like Bryce a lot, but he's an absolute goony boy.
Yeah,
And then
I like
Jacqueline,
Bryce as well. I think he's a lot of
yeah,
fun.
he's funny. Jacqueline Daisyface, can I become a member of her team? I'm Irish, smart, funny, driven. Most importantly, I'm a Bobby Knuckles fan. Well, we like that. Bobby Knuckles is
Yeah, we love
a
Bobby
legend.
Knuckles.
Yeah, messages on Facebook. Why not? We'll talk about it. Hands of Stone. What's up, guys? Literally just watch your latest video, and then as I finish this, you're live. Great stuff.
Nice
Get
one.
some questions in, Hands of Stone, before we
Welcome
finish.
along.
How long
So,
have we been going for, actually? I don't actually know.
about an hour. It's 3 minutes to 6 at the minute.
Yeah, so a little bit less than an hour. Let's go for another 15, 20 minutes, maybe. We'll see. We'll see how good the questions
We
are.
need to
And how
catch up
many...
on my Marvel stuff as well. So
Yeah, we do. We'll do that at the end as well. But yeah, keep them likes coming in, keep the questions coming in, and you can see how long you can keep us on this chat for. We have things to be doing during this lockdown, Sean, don't we?
yeah.
Yeah. Jan
Yeah.
Vanderboss, will UFC Dublin go ahead? I don't think any event outside the USA or Fight Island for this year, to be honest.
You actually, I think you might have it just broke sort of a couple of minutes before we went live. I happened to be looking at my phone, and they're looking at banning, the government in Ireland. They're going to ban all mass gatherings of 5,000 or more people until around August or September. It's one or the other. So
Wow.
that would be
And
that out the
what's
window.
the UFC is August? Is it?
Yeah, it's not
Or
going to
July?
happen. Yeah, no, it's August or September. I think it's August.
Yeah, it's around somewhere around there.
Yeah, so
It's
that's
not.
not
Yeah.
happening.
No, I don't think it's going to happen either. Which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. It probably would have been a shite card anyway.
Yeah, realistically.
Yeah.
Would have been a classic European card that have stuck Ilir Latifi in a co-main event and stuff. So,
but Ilir Latifi, right, when he came over here, he done a video and he had a hurl and he smacked a slitter with a hurl, and he was quite good at it. And then he made his entrance with a hurl in his hand. All I'm saying is,
yeah.
we'll take him as an Irishman.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't need a hurl to fuck you up, but if you give him a hurl, he will super duper fuck you up.
Did you ever see the picture of Ilir Latifi topless, no top on the horse, riding the horse?
I can imagine that as a Swedish man, that he would look very strapping on the horse topless.
Ilir Latifi does not wear skinny jeans, I'll tell you that. Well, they're skinny, but they're actually baggy, but quads. Aiden, Adesanya versus Till will be another snooze fest. Two counter strikers make for poor fights. What great fights have we seen between two renowned counter strikers? That's a good point. It has the potential to be a snooze fest. Like if you go back and watch Till versus Thompson, like on paper, two great strikers, but it was a really tactical. Like I liked the fight because they'd done a lot of really interesting things, but it wasn't necessarily the type of fight that a lot of casual fans want to see. And I could probably see Adesanya versus Till being a kind of a tentative affair as well.
Yeah, I think it'd look similar to, if you even look at Till against Gaston, I think you'd see Till employ a pretty similar game plan to that. Yeah, I can see that one being not boring because I would find it interesting, but I can see that one being what people would call a boring fight.
Yeah.
You know what I can see? I can see Dana giving that fight an absolute slating in the post-fight press already. He'd slate both guys is what he did.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think, what was a good fight with two counter strikers in MMA? Off the top of my head, I can't think. The only one I can think of was an interesting fight against two guys who I wouldn't necessarily call them just counter fighters, but they do it a lot. Was TJ Dillashaw against Dominic Cruz? Like they like the counter, and I think that fight was a very interesting fight. Very weird fight just because of their styles, but I kind of liked it. Well, I really liked it. It was a great fight. Dewey Cooper, what do you make of Cody heading to 125? Yeah, I read it somewhere. He's only walks around at 142 pounds, so he's a small bantamweight. Him versus Figueiredo would be a great fight. Yes, it would. I don't mind it. It does seem like he's a small guy for 135. So I think he probably could make the weight, hopefully. But I'm not sure that actually fixes the problems that he has if he moves down in weight, to be honest.
Yeah. I think this is what we've said before, is in fighters look to move weight or move camp as an excuse for sort of recent losses and stuff, when that isn't necessarily the issue. I mean, his issue is that he keeps his hands too fucking low.
Yeah,
So
and he
put your hands
gets
up
in the
and
and he gets in the brawls.
Yeah, put your hands up. Don't get into a brawl and then 35. Like, we've seen him have success at 135, so it isn't the issue, I don't think. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree though. Sorry, I didn't even answer that question, but I agree. Cody Garbrandt is like the strangest fighter ever, where he had one incredible performance against Dominic Cruz. Like, he's had some really good performances, but I mean incredible in the sense that he looked like a different fighter, and then after that he hasn't looked like that ever. So it's weird, but I don't mind him down there. Him versus Figueiredo would be fun, but yeah, someone would probably go to sleep because they both fight similarly. Okay, here's an interesting one. Hardest fight for every champ in each division. Do you have the rankings, Sean?
No,
because
I'm going to get them up now.
Okay, so I'll start. So we're going to start at heavyweight. Stipe Miocic, the toughest fight for him. You could probably argue it would be Francis Ngannou, even though the first fight wasn't that tough, but there was that moment where he got dropped and he got hit, and I think Ngannou has probably made a lot of improvements. DC, he's lost to DC before, but he has a feel of him, so maybe not. So I'm going to go Francis Ngannou, and improved Francis Ngannou could be the toughest fight, a heavyweight for Stipe.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that just because of DC's aging, isn't he? So it's hard to see him. I think DC has been Stipe's toughest fights. I don't know if he's his toughest fight or toughest opponent anymore.
That's a good point.
So yeah, I think Francis makes sense as that one.
Yeah. We'll go to light heavyweight. John Jones, toughest fight for John Jones at light heavyweight. Jesus.
That is thin.
That is very thin. Like, I mean, you could argue some of the guys who came close the last time. Like, could you argue Dominic Reyes again?
Yeah,
it seemed like
Dominic
he couldn't.
Reyes is the one.
Yeah, he seemed to have trouble with him. We'll go with Dominic Reyes because Jones had trouble with him. Let's go middleweight. Adesanya. What's the toughest fight for Adesanya?
Beat Whittaker, he's beat Costa, or he beat Romero, sorry. I think Till isn't. I don't think Till is an outrageously tough fight for him. I think it's quite a tactical affair.
Yeah.
I think they're looking at Costa.
Yeah.
Maybe Cannonier.
Which, yeah, I think probably Costa. I do. I think that's probably the best fight, and that's the best fight and probably his toughest fight.
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman. Interesting one. Like, the Colby fight was close enough.
I think the Colby rematch is his toughest fight.
Yeah, like he had his way with Tyron Woodley. I think Masvidal, I think it's a bad fight for Masvidal. I'm not saying Masvidal can't win, but I think that's a bad fight for him. So yeah, I think probably a Colby rematch would be the toughest fight there. Lightweight, Habib. Oof. Is it Tony?
Yeah, I think it's Tony. I don't think it's Conor. I don't think it's we've seen him dispose of Dustin Conor. I think he has his way with Gaethje as well, and then the further then you go, I think it's Tony. Yeah,
I agree. Which is what makes it such a good fight.
Yeah.
Featherweight, Alexander Volkanovski. Man, Volkanovski looks like a tough customer. He looks like a really tough guy to beat. I'm tempted to go as a beat Magomed Sharapov, but he's still an unknown commodity. Like, Max Holloway could come back and he could look good, but I was fairly confident that Alexander done way more than enough in that fight, and I think he'd probably do it again if they rematch. I'm going to say he's a beat just because he's so weird and interesting.
Yeah, I'll take Zabit as well. I think he is he's not a dark horse really, but I just think he's the one to give Volkanovski the problems. Ortega, haven't seen him fight recently enough. So.
Yeah. Apart from in the crowd, when he fought that DJ or whatever he was.
Yeah, and if you want to do some more MMA, Max had his way with Brian Ortega, and then Volkanovski had his way with Max. So.
Love a bit of MMA mats. Love it, Sean. Bantamweight, Henry Cejudo. So the Dominic Cruz, I think the Dominic Cruz fight is actually competitive. I do like it. I don't think he's the toughest guy there. Probably for me, Peter Yan.
Peter Yan for me as well, yeah.
Although I'm not sure what the wrestling would look like. Corey Sandhagen could be a good one. I'm always calling it Corey Sandhagen, but I think Peter Yan.
I'm going to take Jan because those Eastern Europeans are a different breed of human.
Yeah. Flyweight we'll skip because there's no champ.
Yeah.
And then the female divisions, Amanda Nunez at 145.
Amanda Nunez's toughest fight at 145 could be herself.
Yeah, I know. Let's say Felicia Spencer, just because she seems like the only one there. Women's flyweight, so Valentina Shevchenko. Jesus, like I don't see anybody there.
Yeah, we're getting fairly thin here. She's beat Jessica I.
It's Amanda Nunez, isn't it? If she drops,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's the one.
Which can't really happen because Amanda wouldn't make.
Yeah, the toughest
weight,
fight for the two champions there, or sorry, the toughest fight for Valentina is Amanda. The toughest fight for Amanda is.
Yeah, and it wouldn't even be for the title; it'd be for the bantamweight title, so it doesn't really make sense. But if we have to pick someone from there, Jesus Christ, I'm gonna go with Andrea Lee.
Yeah, I'm not picking someone from there. I see Lauren Murphy in the rankings. She sounds like someone I've met on a night out or something. So
yeah, I know a few Lauren Murphys. I do.
Yeah.
Women's strawweight, Weili Zhang. I mean, you could make the argument for the rematch because that was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
I think Rose is an interesting one, but I think Tatiana Suarez could be a tough fight for everyone in that division just because they're wrestling.
Yeah, I'm going to take Rose. I still think Rose is a lot less to offer, and we just haven't seen a fight recently, so I'm going to take Rose in that one.
Yeah. Let's go back to the questions. Norlan Ram, I can't say your name, sorry man, but you insulted me, so I'll just say Norlan. Another banger question from Dewey Cooper. He is the man killing today. I agree. He has some excellent questions. What's that? Would Jordan have been the best MMA fighter ever? As in Michael Jordan? Well, you know, if you're that competitive. I haven't watched it yet, Sean, but you've watched 2 episodes, haven't you?
Yeah, I watched both episodes last night. I thought it was really good. The first episode is really good, but it's very introductory and just sort of based on what the whole thing is going to be on. But the second episode is phenomenal. Really good.
Yeah. Can you do MMA math on Cruz, Garbrandt and Dillashaw?
That's a nightmare trying to do that math.
Yeah, I know. Sean will do that and report back.
Yeah.
That was Nebrem. Javier Nix, Woodley called out Adesanya. A lot of people are saying Woodley takes it, but no, Izzy destroys him. Am I crazy? I think Izzy wins that fight as well.
Yeah, I think Izzy wins that one pretty comfortably, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Tyler needs a fight really soon, or as soon as he possibly can, because obviously he can't at the minute, but Tyler needs to fight pretty damn soon.
Yeah, he does, yeah. Too busy building that rap career, man.
I know. Jeez, that rap ain't great, is it?
No. Falling in and out of love with you. That's all I'm going to say. Norlan, do you think Kamaru Usman is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the UFC roster today? I think he's criminally underrated by many people. I don't think he's the best pound-for-pound fighter, even though I think that's a silly argument, as in I think the pound-for-pound thing is a bit silly anyway. But if you're going to rank them, I don't think so. But I do think he's very underrated. Very underrated.
I agree. I think he's seriously tough guy. Seriously tough. We saw that in the Covington fight. I think he really came out of not out of his shell, but I think he really showed people what he's about in that fight.
Yeah,
you just hadn't really seen it before from him.
Yeah, I agree. We'll go for another few minutes, Sean. Yeah, you good to go for another few minutes?
Yeah, I'm at very little at the minute, Rob.
Cool. We'll go for another few minutes. Keep the questions coming in. We'll see how long we can go. But make sure you do add a like to this video because it really helps us out. I'm sorry if I keep asking, but I was told by the audience to keep asking, or you just wouldn't do it. So let's do like a smash the like button or whatever these YouTubers say. Kashi Halma, hey Sean and Rob, what are your thoughts on Sean O'Malley? Is he a future champion? Big fan of Sean O'Malley. I think he's a very, very talented fighter. I hope he doesn't have any more run-ins with USADA. And I know a lot of them probably weren't his fault, but I hope that doesn't happen. Do I think he's going to be a future champion? It's hard to say. He's far away from it, and he's very young. Like he has to mature into his body still, I think. But I'm going to go out on a limb and I'll say he's a future champion. I was going to say future contender. I'm going to say yes. He's going to do it within 3.5 years.
That's a big enough time frame, Rob, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. He's still young.
I think he's a guy who can definitely fight for titles in the future. I was listening to an interview with him. I think it was Eurobash he was on with PC and Niall McGrath. He spoke really well and just sounded like he has his head screwed on, and he's not taking fights for the sake of taking fights.
Yeah.
He wants to take fights that are going to do something for him, his brand, and his career.
Yeah.
And I like hearing fighters talk like that, because I think too many guys are like not sensible in how they pick their fights. And if you can pick your fights, because it's a sensible thing to do.
Yeah. That's fair. Edward Mullen. Well, lads, who is your best prospects in Irish MMA at the moment, and where do you rate the likes of Kiefer Crosby and James Gallagher? I assume it was Gallagher. Best prospects in MMA, Irish MMA at the moment, I think Ian Gary, for sure. Let me think. Who do we have? Ian Gary. I wouldn't even. Kiefer's a bit of a prospect, but like he's getting up there in age. He is. So he definitely needs to take some fights soon. I'm absolutely blanking on Northern Irish fighter, young guy, fought for Bama.
Reese. Oh, Obama.
Oh, Reese. Yeah, fought for Bama before. It'll come to me in a minute. I don't know why I'm blanking, but
I was
it is what
thinking
it is.
I was thinking Reese McKee there. Sorry.
Yeah, Reese. You could still say Reese is a prospect. He's actually building up a nice record. I think he's probably the guy who might make it to the UFC next.
Yeah. Sorry, we never even got around to talking about this, actually, what the future of MMA might look like after all this COVID stuff.
Yeah.
I think one thing that's going, Graham Boylan actually said it on Eurobash with the lads. He said he doesn't think anyone's getting signed to the UFC this year, because everyone's going to be fit and ready after all this. There's going to be no need to sign anyone. Because there's not going to be no injuries. As in, the reason to sign people is because people can't fight because of injuries and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But no one's going to be injured, so they don't need to sign anyone.
Yeah, well, you assume no one's will be injured, but yeah, that makes sense. We actually spoke about that. Like, we wanted to have a chat about what the future would be, and you made a good point about regional MMA if you want to make it.
Yeah, I mean, the simple economics of like the way things are at the minute would be that if you put sport on the telly and make a pay-per-view, people are dying for sport and that they will buy it. It doesn't quite work like that, because people are unemployed and don't necessarily have the money to spend on a pay-per-view. So then, say when sport does come back, again, the simple thing is to be like, okay, people are going to be dying to get the sport, so they will buy the tickets. But if everyone gets back at the same time, people are going to have to pick what they want to go to. So if you have UFC doing a show and you have a regional MMA show, which are people going to buy a ticket for? Probably the UFC, because it's the higher quality.
Yeah.
As in, regional MMA can be a hard enough sell at the best of times. So I think you're going to struggle. I think regional MMA promoters are going to see some pretty big difficulties after all of this.
Yeah, I completely agree. And if that happens, that's a really bad thing. Like in Ireland, a few years ago, there was a death in MMA a few years ago, Joe Carvalho. And after that, there was some strict enough safety measures put in by the acting MMA regulator, which, it wasn't an official thing. And basically it made that a lot of promoters found it difficult to put on shows. And the sport over here
is a big issue in the Republic.
Yeah, and a lot of shows over here just didn't happen, and it really did dry up the sport. It did over here, and I think if a lot of these smaller organisations can't stick around, if this goes on for a long time, that could be a big problem for kind of the future of MMA and the development of a lot of fighters who just can't get fights outside the UFC.
Sorry, I just seen something in the chat.
Yeah.
Pompous Psycho said, when is Sean going to invite Joanne Caldo down to the movement? And Jacqueline Daisyface said, I'd actually bonk Joanna any day. Great stuff.
Oh, that's great stuff. When are you going to do it, Sean?
Joanne's always welcome. Always welcome.
Dewey Cooper. How does Masvidal versus Conor go? I think Conor could drop him a few times like the Diaz-2 fight, but Masvidal recovers well. Makes good adjustments. Oh, Sean doesn't think so. Sean, how does that fight go?
Masvidal runs through McGregor at 170.
Yeah, like that's what I thought when before Conor came back and you were talking about a Masvidal fight. I was like, oh, geez, that could be a tough fight for him. But if you do look at Masvidal pre his recent run, he did have some fairly flat performances against good guys. So I wouldn't be surprised if Conor could put on a good performance against him. And I do see Conor being able to catch him because he is an excellent boxer. Masvidal, he's one of the better ones in MMA, but Conor does have this kind of precision and timing that a lot of guys in MMA don't really have. So I don't think it'd be such a whitewash, Sean.
Yeah, I think Conor can catch him. I don't think he'll drop him at 170 anyway.
Yeah. Richie Fort, stay safe. My friends, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Michael Chandler versus Conor. Who takes it and how? Wow, that's a good fight. I think Chandler could be a lot of trouble for Conor in the wrestling. Chandler is an excellent wrestler, but he has lost to a lot of lesser fighters than Conor. So we'll do a bit of MMA math, and I'm going to say Conor, but that is a very tough matchup, stylistically. Chandler is a demon. I completely agree. Dewey Cooper said that Conor would outbox Chandler and eventually finish him. Chandler gets dropped a lot. Yeah, I agree with that.
Red Okamoto says May 9th is going to happen at a location to be announced, and it will be called UFC 249.
Oh, well, so I'm not going to skip it. So there was a lot of talk to do. We'll skip it.
Brett gets all the news these days, doesn't he?
Yeah. It's mad, isn't it? It makes sense, you know, considering the link there with ESPN and stuff. And Brett does seem like a good guy, to be fair.
Yeah.
Jan Vanderbos, thoughts on Jan Blachowicz waiting to fist? Did you see this, Sean?
What is it?
Jan Blachowicz, his tweet to John Jones.
Oh yeah.
He wants to fist him.
Yeah.
So thoughts on Jan. Yeah, thoughts on Jan Vanderbos, Jan Blachowicz wanting to fist John Jones.
It's not something I would pay to see. It's something I would expect to see on
free.
some other types of websites.
That was brilliant.
Very funny. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fight. I mean, it's another defense for Jones, isn't it? It's grand.
Yeah, pretty much. John C thinks it's very difficult to trust Brett lately, as he's been Dana's mouthpiece. The news that he's breaking is probably coming from Dana White's mouth. So, of course, Dana White is going to say it's going to happen because he's been saying it's going to happen. So,
yeah, I don't think the issue there is trusting Brett. I think Brett is just reporting whatever Dana tells him. I think is what Brett's just doing at this stage. So I think I don't trust Dana for a second, but so that's my thing on.
Yeah. Brett is Daddy Dana's boy for sure. When is Sean gonna invite Joanne Calderwood? We saying that one, and the bonking of Joanne Calderwood. We saying that.
There you go.
These go to Bellator when this is Dewey Cooper. These go to Bellator when it comes to Dublin. I've gone to the last two and I find it hard to focus on the fights. Being pissed doesn't help. But was at the darts and then thought it was better crack. I've been to. I covered a couple. I think I covered 2 Bellator shows when they come over, and I've been to 2 or maybe 1. I covered the show that Conor jumped the cage for, which was mad because I was sitting around a lot of SPG fighters in the stands, and everyone was just like, "Oh my god, what the fuck is going on?" Yeah. Conor has just jumped into the cage.
We've been to 2 as fans, Rob, together. I think I've been to 3, maybe 2. Yeah, we were at 2 together.
Were we? Was that 1? I went with you.
Was it 1?
I think it was 1.
Second? Okay, I've been to 2.
No. I was out. Remember, I went out.
Yes, yeah. I've been to 2. I think I know the point he's making about the darts is a good one because the darts very much build an event around it. You don't really go for the darts. You go to get pissed. I don't think Bellator do a great job of managing the event as such because you go and it's fight after fight after fight. There's too many fights on. It starts too early, so people are pissed halfway through the night. And by the time the main event comes around, the people want to see, they're pissed and rowdy and
Yeah, it's the problem with Bellator for me is they have too many fights when they do these local shows. Like, it's great to see a lot of the local lads get shot, but man, they have a fucking shit ton of fights. It's crazy. And as well, like, it doesn't affect you really when you're there, but the way they have it broadcast, like they have it across multiple different platforms, and I think that kind of impacts how they actually pace the fights, which can be a problem for me. More questions. Let me see here. Questions about what's next for Yoel Romero. Has 5 fights left on his UFC contract. You know, he's that guy who's always going to be around contention, isn't he? Until he's not.
I think Yoel's not getting a title shot anytime soon. I think if he does hang around for a couple more fights, I think what you see him become is sort of a gatekeeper.
Yeah. I'd gladly watch Jan fist John over 5 rounds. Not gonna lie. Oh, it's funny.
Lovely grappling.
Yeah. Questions about Ludwig for some reason, saying that he did he know that Jones was, or that TJ, sorry, not Jones, that TJ was taking EPO. Who knows?
I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, it's hard to trust him that he didn't.
Yeah.
Would be my opinion. But I'm a bit skeptical when it comes to all that doping stuff anyway. So.
Yeah. Papa Psycho said in the community tab a couple of times to get Sonny Brown channel on the show. I actually haven't watched Sonny Brown, but I did look at a few of the videos really quickly just to see what the story was with it after you posted it. And looks like a good guy, looks like a very smart dude. So comment on one of his videos and tell him to get in contact with us, because I don't have a contact for him. Sometimes it's quite difficult.
We did actually have a guest planned before all this COVID stuff hit up as well. So we were going to get a professional MMA gambler on the show. So
yeah, it's kind of tough to do with all this stuff going on. Plus he's not like, he's different time zone completely.
Yeah,
right?
He's in Australia, so
yeah. Papa Psycho asked in the community tab earlier, Cejudo versus Cruz. Young Sean's analysis on which two tactics Henry will implement to catch Dominic while Cruz is momentarily stationary.
I actually don't really have an issue with Cruz getting the title shot. I had more of an issue with Aldo getting at 35. I think that's a good fight if Cruz is at his best. I don't think he's going to be. I think Cejudo takes him.
Yeah.
I think Cejudo sort of outmanlies him.
Do you know what I was thinking as well? Like, coming into this one, like, Dominic Cruz has had such a history with injuries. Like, I was thinking this is probably a really good situation for him. Like, a short notice fight, just get a quick training camp in, hopefully not get injured. And, you know, he seems to deal with ring rust like no other fighter I've ever seen.
Yeah,
well, he says it doesn't exist. So this could be like the perfect type of fight for him, like the perfect situation for him to come back instead of this like really long camp that he generally gets on his return. Will you watch Submission Underground this weekend? If so, can Magalesh get anything done against Craig Jones? Second card they had behind closed doors. Maybe, I'm not in terms of watching it, and in terms of the fight, in terms of the role match, whatever you want to call it, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't been keeping up with a lot of grappling lately, so I won't answer that question with the risk of making myself look silly.
Same.
But I might watch it.
Yeah, I could well watch it because of the lack of anything else on the telly.
Yeah. Jacqueline Daisyface, is there a worse feeling than a skipping rope hitting cold toes before you warmed up? I'd argue just a stubbed toe in general, like, you know, walking down,
stepping on Lego or something.
Oh, stepping on Lego, or a plug, like a plug that was taken out and left up. Some fucking Home Alone shit. Any more questions quickly, Sean, before we get a couple more questions and then we call it a day? And as I said, give the video a like if you can. It really helps us out. Like, look at Sean. He needs the likes. Look at him. But anyway, Sean, quick update on your Marvel journey, and then we'll get to one or two more questions.
Last time I left, I had to watch Guardians of the Galaxy 1. That was what I was watching that night. That was phenomenal. Really funny. Loved it. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 was very funny as well. Not as good as the first one, but very funny. Then I watched Captain America Civil War. No, sorry. Yeah, then I watched Captain America Civil War.
I haven't talked about that.
Class. That was really good.
Yeah.
Great. Lots happening in it. Like different storylines and stuff. That was really good. Loved that one. Then I watched the Avengers.
Age of Ultron.
Age of Ultron. Yeah, that was really good.
And
then I watched Ant-Man. Ant-Man was class,
isn't it?
Ant-Man's a deadly one.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about Ant-Man? I love the story by his mate, the Mexican guy, the Hispanic guy, and the way he tells the story and they show it, and that's great.
Yeah, I love that Ant-Man's just a normal, not even a normal bloke. He's an absolute degenerate, like.
Yeah. It's like if you were a superhero, you'd be someone like Scott Lang,
Huntman or something.
Yeah. Is that where you are? Is that where you've ended?
That's where I'm at. Yeah, I think the next one I have is maybe another Captain America, maybe Civil War next, I think. So,
You done Civil War, no?
oh, I did do Civil War. I can't remember what I have next.
Yeah. Cool. Well, you can update us next time. Hands of Stone. Did you guys get around to watching the video on YouTube highlighting Connor's 14 failed against Habib? I actually did. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah, they were. Like, you're surprised. I have a lot of time on my hands, Sean. Yeah, it was clearly blatant. You know.
Was it?
Yeah, made a lot of fails. Yeah. Well, I knew
Yeah.
he did, but I didn't see them in quick succession in a highlight video.
Yeah, that's
montage,
true.
if you will. So yeah, there was a lot of them. But you know, he lost the fight anyway. Pompous Psycho, cheers to your health. Thanks for the live chat, Sean and Rob. Thank you, Psycho. I appreciate the questions. Appreciate the likes. Appreciate that. We'll do this again next week, hopefully. And maybe something else during the week. I'll see how I'm feeling. One thing I was thinking of doing was, do you ever see those videos? And let us know in the comments if you have any interest in this, where like they have like the tiers. It's like S, A, B, C, you know, like grades, but S is like special, and then they rank like best fighters of all time, and then you rank them in these tiers. They do be interesting because you can go through them and you can kind of discuss who your favorite fighters are, or maybe like the best champions of all time or something. Maybe something like that. Jacqueline Daisyface, how famous do I have to be to come onto this show? You have to be Sean Taylor famous, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is, it's hard to get to that level, but you know, if you try,
there's levels to this game, man. You know.
You might get there. But we'll leave it there. It's been a long enough chat. Thanks again for joining me, Sean. Thanks for all the likes.
Thanks, Rob.
If you haven't done already, do it. Subscribe to the channel as well. And yeah, have a good day.
Cheers, guys.